Hey, this is Notser, and today we're taking a look at the Tier 10 Soviet battleship Slava. This is going to be the alternative Tier 10 to the Soviet battleship line. It should be introduced in 8.5 or 8.6, depending on whether the update that they recently pushed to it is successful. And those recent buffs are the following: 45-second turret traverse and a 30-second base reload. Previously, they nerfed the reload to 33 seconds and the turret traverse to 60 seconds. Now, the other nerfs that they had applied to this ship between this version and the completely ridiculously overpowered version, it still lacks the armor thickness, it still lacks that charge of repair party, it still has slower than the average turret traverse that you would expect at a super high tier Soviet battleship. So it is definitely operating with less than it did initially. And of course, the accuracy of the guns is slightly weaker, but honestly, you would be hard pressed to notice from that very first version. Clearly we were accurate enough. We hit a 17,000 salvo on an angled Republic moving towards A. Now, he didn't change his angling, don't know why, but we were accurate enough to hit that shot. And immediately traversing over to the North Carolina, I can notice right away that this got back a lot of additional engagement opportunities with the turret traverse being returned to something usable. 45 seconds is not the 30 seconds that it came with initially, but it's so much better than 60 seconds. That's one of those things that Wargaming loves to tweak. I feel like the turret traverse, ooh, that was a nice salvo, 11,000. I feel like the turret traverse is really just asking the player to play a worse version of the game when you get into the 60 seconds. It's one thing for the turret traverse to be slower, but for it to be so glacially slow that you are, having to pause deliberately to have it traverse the other way, it takes away from my personal enjoyment. So I'm very happy that they returned it to 45 seconds. I was initially one of the people who lobbied for a slower reload, and I do feel like returning it from 33 seconds to 30 seconds with the main battery reload accompanying it, I get a 26-second reload. It's very comparable to the Yamato, and I think it just does a better job than the Yamato at the super long-range sniping. It can't overmatch 32, but it doesn't need to if it locates its shell accurately, and it, of course, can do that. It's the most accurate battleship ever put in the game. And we continue to hit those shots. Another 11,000 salvo on a fairly angled stationary target. As long as I locate my shells, superstructure, the top of the bow or stern, and the top of the deck, you'll find the weak areas of the enemy and you can exploit them. And the turret traverse is usable so that you can engage multiple enemies that could be in front of you. So overall, playability of the ship, very good. It feels great. It has that accuracy that you will immediately notice. It is very different from the Kremlin. I did have concerns that they might have overbuffed the Kremlin's accuracy, moving it all the way up to 1.9. But I can rest assured, through playing the game, I can verify that the Kremlin is not this accurate. It can't hope to be this accurate. On top of that, they work at a completely different gun calibers. This one 406, the Kremlin 457s. So I think overall, it's a success. Is it a healthy success? That is another discussion, and one that we have to make because this ship is coming out fairly soon. It's got to come in 8.5 because the longer it takes the Wargaming and World of Warships team to release the Slava, the longer we have to wait for the French DDs. And I don't think that players want to wait for content. They like it coming as fast as possible. And this is sort of Wargaming doing a last little fine-tuning. We got about, I'm going to guess, the next patch is within 15 days. That's my guess. Now, within 15 days of testing this, is it verifiably balanced against all the other tier 10s? Well, I'm hearing that the Kremlin is pretty dominant, and in the right hands, the Kremlin is a very, very enjoyable experience. And in the right hands, the Slava can be as well. It's a long-range sniper. It has excessive armor on the outside. Even in its lowered armored state, it still has more armor than the French ever could hope to. So if high explosive is fired at you, it has to be placed in certain areas, the side of the hull of the ship. And man, I was so lucky I could have easily been punished. The Slava absolutely has a punishable citadel, but it's up to the enemy players if they can locate their shell accurately enough. I just got lucky there. So yeah, at long range, the Slava has good enough armor for high explosive. Not in the same realm as the Soyuz and the Kremlin. You guys have probably figured that out, firing on those ships. They're a real pain in the booty. If you don't have enough high explosive pin, and they happen to be angled in such a way that you can't find the superstructure or the bow and stern easily. Those ships are just, they just eat low pin, high explosive, 21,000. We were looking for a citadel, didn't get it, but, led to the enemy getting defeated. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat this game. My team's doing pretty bad. And I probably chose a flank where I didn't have as much impact as I wanted, because I'm basically splitting my damage between multiple targets. But it's very easy to do with the Slava, and it's part of the playstyle that you have to train yourself to, because this ship does not like being close. I can't weather the storm the same way. Limited use charges on my repair. I only have 3. That's with premium. That's with superintendent. This has 1 charge with the non-premium. So this is a mandatory premium repair party ship. Otherwise, you might as well, not play the ship. Having 1 heal on a battleship with 91,000 life. The Conqueror has 82,000 life and has the possibility of having 4 with superintendent, and they're super heals. 1 heal from the Conqueror is worth like 3 of the Soviet battleship heal. So it's very recognizable that concentrated high explosive on this ship, forcing the player to use through those charges, it's going to be a real pain. But what isn't a pain is the AA system. Probably one of the best AA systems in the game by far. Because it excels at long range, you're a battleship. Of course you want your AA to excel at long range. You don't want people to get close to you. With a simple priority target and setting your sector, 150% faster reload on one side of the ship, I have beaten tier 10 squadrons before they've had a chance. And we're not talking like, they fly into every flak that you've ever placed in the sky. No, we're talking they make 1 mistake, the whole thing's gone. So very effective AA protection. And honestly, from long range, it's a lot harder for players to completely wipe it out. So I tend to always have it, and because of my distance from the enemy, it's really hard for them to follow up even if I'm spotted by air. Now, you notice my build, it doesn't have concealment. It goes fire prevention, but you could totally go a concealment build and have pretty good stealth to work with. I really see this ship being very popular just because it fulfills those archetypes that players want. Is that healthy for the game that another long-range sniping battleship is placed in the game? It's one that, let's face it, a lot of people are going to work for, and they're going to be very successful with. It's very accurate. I am not the problem in this game. This is everything but the ship. I think that overall, the fact that it can exist out in the open against air as a sniper and feel relatively comfortable with that is probably bordering on a little dangerous, because there really isn't a counter to the ship other than just volume of fire. The Citadel is vulnerable, but from a super long distance, you're not going to get those Citadel shots. You're more likely for your shell to ricochet off the side. Now note, someone shot my gun in the back, and it doesn't have the kind of tankiness that the Kremlin has. It is the same model, but that's the only similarity. It is absolutely very easy to punish. You don't want to be operating too close to anyone. And even when you have to operate close to someone, you're probably not going to be able to stay there very long. So it's definitely something where you stay back, maximum range, maybe you dip in a little close, but then you're right back out and you're trying to maintain that distance so that you have the advantage and the enemy does not. And that's a strategy that people are going to have to develop as they learn and interact with this more. I think this version of the Slava is as balanced as it's going to be, while still being fun and enjoyable. I don't necessarily believe that it's better than the Kremlin. I feel like the Kremlin does a very great job of tanking. And in my opinion, wargaming is encouraging the tanky side. Even the commanders themselves, they are all very much aligned with the Kremlin and the Soyuz and all that. The Slava is really out of existence to mirror the Stalingrad. It's just a really big cruiser with battleship level armor, and that is incredibly powerful, but it does give up on its utility and its survivability. And I like those trade-offs, and I think players are going to enjoy the differences between the Kremlin and the Slava when she's released. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to check out more of my content, you can click the most recent and the most relevant uploads. You can also choose to subscribe to my channel. We do daily World of Warship videos, first impression, how-to, review, and news articles. I stream at twitch.tv/Notser. Thank you, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.